space is a place for us.
Real people with real issues.
Discussing real topics.
Black space.
A safe space for our community.
Doc Locks, I see your face.
Oh, I'm giggling because I just have very different views on that. I think women cheat because they want to cheat. And I don't think it matters if their partner is beta or alpha. Women cheat for the same reason that men cheat, and men never want to hear that.
Nope, we don't cheat for the same reasons.
And as a woman, I know why women cheat. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. I have left Will and Jada alone because I think Jada is toxic, and nobody really wants to have that discussion. I don't think Will is a good provider or a good husband. He cheated as well. So, you know.
With who?
That's it. He's a good cheater.
I don't think he cheated. I think that because we've gotten so used to defending women, it's got to be both ways. We never just leave it as she's terrible. We always got to say, no, he did it too. I don't believe he did.
There were some articles a long time ago about him with some other women. So, you know, and they have an open relationship. So why wouldn't
if it were that open,
You have a
if it were that open, why hasn't he dragged her to a red table and said, hey, I did X, Y, and Z?
Because he might have NDAs, which is what a smart person in his position would have.
Why? If it's open, why would he have an NDA if it's open?
Because it's open doesn't mean everybody should know, right? I might have an open relationship, but I don't need for you and George or Janelle to know because it's not your business. Now, if you want to be part of our openness, then there are stipulations, especially if I got money.
I don't buy that. If they have a publicly open relationship, you know, why would we not know about it? I mean, we found out about Jada's trysts. She had several of them that were very public. So I don't know. That's my opinion.
Let me ask you this, Doc and Janelle. It would appear to me that this is a great example that Penny brought up with Will Smith. So let me ask a series of questions with regard to that. Was the slap of Chris Rock, was that an alpha move or a beta move from the perspective of you two ladies?
That was probably more of a, could we say the B word? I mean, that was probably more of a bitch move if you ask me. I mean, not to mention, I don't even think it was real. So,
elaborate on.
You don't think it was real?
No, I mean, I don't really get caught up in all that stuff, but they said that they found something to where that was on a movie in the past or something. They thought maybe they were reenacting it, but
let's pretend it's real.
It's real. Okay, yeah, it was a bitch move. I mean, he shouldn't have did that. I mean, come on. You could have took me out, meet me outside like everyone else does, you know?
You say you believe it was a bitch move. And why?
Yeah, I mean, I respect Will. I love Will. I mean, he's from where I'm from. So, you know, it's like I just love all day. But I just feel like that was outside of him, you know? I mean.
But why the word bitch?
Well, I'm not calling him a bitch, but I'm just saying as far as like, just be a man, you know, like take him outside, punch him in the face. Don't slap him. You know, if you're going to throw hands. Slapping somebody is like a bitch move. Like, I'm just going to slap you. Like, no, I'm going to punch you in the face. I'm going to pull out a knife. I'm going to, throw these bones, but I'm not going to slap you. A girl slaps. Men don't slap. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, interesting.
It's like, Will, next time you gotta, throw them hands.
Next time you gotta fight.
That's what we do.
I thought it was a very insecure man move. So I agreed that it was a B move. I thought it was classless, especially on that night. And then for him to yell from his seat, like, who does that, right? I don't think it wasn't a good look for Will that
It was
night.
not impressive.
Not at all.
Hey,
Not-
Doc, I'll tell you who does it. A man whose woman has his man parts in a bag and strings controlling him. He laughed at first. She gave him the side eye, and then he right on cue, he responded irrationally.
Very irrational.
No man does that.
Yeah, that was a puppet move for sure.
And that's
Big
what
time.
goes back to me saying Jada's toxic.
Yeah, she's
because
toxic.
if we were to be honest, most women know how to control their man. They know how to set him off, they know how to set him up, and they know how to make him feel good. Most women know that, okay? Because when you've been with somebody for a long time, you know their triggers. And you know if you move a certain way, if he's concerned, he's going to look a certain way. And she had a lot of power in that moment, and she just did not use it for good. And I've never been a fan of Jada from A Different World to present day. And I think she is hurt because if you listen to her or go back and read some of the things that she said about marriage, she didn't want to get married. She didn't want to
marry Will.
And she did not want to have children. And she had all of those things. So I think, I also think that she never resolved the issues that she had with her mother. So all of that balled into one person being married, and we're seeing what it plays out as. So I don't think highly of Will as a result of what he did.
Okay. Next.
I don't think she did it with Tupac. I don't think it's Pac is still alive. She don't act this way with Tupac.
No, not at all.
But Tupac had moved on. Let's be clear. Tupac had moved on. Tupac had another girlfriend. So
that's what Pac was going to do.
I mean, I don't think he was all that crazy about Jada, but he's not here.
But she loved him, and so did so other women.
Tupac in Barbados somewhere, living in a cave.
I think they would have found him if he's in Barbados.
Janelle, you are not.
Maybe not
you are
Barbados.
not a conspiracy. You're not a conspiracy theorist. Please tell me I'm not hearing this correctly. That's two theories that you have put forward tonight that got me questioning you. I'm silent.
You just said Tupac's still alive, didn't you?
I didn't say that. I said if he were still alive.
Oh, yeah.
Jada would not have behaved this way as the spouse of Tupac.
Well, you know who Machiavelli is, right?
Yes.
Why do you think he went by Machiavelli?
It was an album title.
Yeah, it was for a reason. There was an underlying reason behind it.
It's an album title.
I'm telling you,
Pac gone.
Right.
Penny, you're the shortest distance to the destination in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
You keep it simple.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am a conspiracy theorist, though. Penny, you're right about that.
Oh my gosh.
I am big time.
Well,
all right. So Will Smith, on the face, to me, because of his level of accomplishment and achievement, the road that he had to climb to get there, would on his face, and the roles that he plays, would on his face appear to be more of the criteria of the alpha male. So your comments make me think of Will Smith in two different parts. Will Smith, the actor, and Will Smith, the regular guy. How do you align those? Because he has achieved quite a bit in his career, and he did have to climb over some people. He's pissed some people off along the way, which is an alpha male criteria. When you're trying to get to the top, all's fair in love and war, so to speak. How do you align his persona, professional persona, with the classification of being a beta?
So I think amongst men, you know, there's different aspects of life that show where you stand, you know, 10 toes down. You know, there's the workplace guy that is 10 toes down, that is the leader, that is the ambitious guy, that's the successful guy. And at work, Will is, you know, at the cream of the crop. He's an A-lister who has an impeccable record and a pretty clean record for the most part. And yes, he did tell other folks that, you know, I don't curse in my reps. I don't have to. He established himself very early on by saying, this is who I am. This is my image. And he kept that clean image up until the fateful night at the Oscars. But the true mark of a man is how is he viewed by his peers, you know, as a man outside of the workplace. So it's one thing to be a successful guy at work, but if you come home and you pull your pants off and you got on a set of panties, I'm being metaphorical here, you're not much of a guy. If you're being walked over by, you know, your woman at home or your friends, or being taken advantage of, you're not an alpha guy. You're very beta. And that's what I said, you know, when I was talking about the percentages, and we can break it down to percentage, but men have to be men the same, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, whether it's amongst your peers. You have to be the same. You can't be wavering, you know, and because if you lack in one of those areas, you can't maintain those 10 toes down. You can be easily pushed off your square. One slip anywhere. If you slip up at work, you lose everything. If you slip up at home, you can lose everything. Case in point, back to the Will example. One slip up has cost him big time, because, you know, he wasn't 10 toes down everywhere. You got to be 10 toes down. There's no in between with that.
Is your explanation with regard to just being a man, or with the particular label alpha male? Is that pressure that you just mentioned associated with the alpha male?
So I think being a man is being an alpha man. I think that they're synonymous. I think that if you are a stand-up, you know, headstrong guy, man, you're alpha. You know, you're decisive, you're ambitious, you're direct. You know, that's my definition of a man. You know, you're hardworking. You know, you're not a pushover. You know, you're the boss. That's my definition of of a man. Now that doesn't mean that, and I know that I make jokes in here about, you know, the drinking beer, steak eating, you know, grunt crotch scratching guy. I'm just being funny. I'm being facetious. But, you know, men are men. They're direct. They're straightforward, and they're, you know, and they're heading in that positive direction, and they're not wavering. They're principled men that have a solid foundation of principles, you know, faith, and, you know, and direction, in my opinion.
Wow, you said a mouthful. Go ahead, Doc Watts.
Well, I was going to ask you what you thought, because you haven't said too much.
Be specific. What I thought about what?
Alpha and beta men, like, do they exist for you?
Well, I think that on this topic, perception is reality.
Mm-hmm.
I had an old boss tell me one time, and I'll never forget it. He used a cliche, an analogy. Perception is 9/10 of the law. So even if it's not true, the minute it is perceived to be true, that's what takes precedence. And so Ann Penny described it as, you know, or informed us earlier, that the actual labeling or the concept of alpha and beta has been disproven. But what society has done is repurposed those labels. And so it's more of a social construct, like race. You know, it is because we say it is, but there's no reality to it. And often we find unique words to describe just human behavior. You know, we're human beings. That's what we are first and foremost. So while I personally don't ascribe to being in either of those categories, I leave that up to the perception of others, because everybody is working with their own filters. And so, you know, I try to be aware of how I'm coming across to people, not so that I can manipulate it or try to meet their expectations, but so that I can be effective in whatever my goal is. If I'm in a social context, you know, I want to be effective in that, in terms of I want to have fun, I want to enjoy stuff. So be aware of who's in the room, be aware of any triggers, things like that. If I'm in a business format, there's another joke, not a joke, but it's a cliche. Whenever you're in a business context, or any context, even in this context, if you, and I'll try to be polite when I say it, but whenever you're in a group of people, if you can't tell who in the room is getting, chances are did I need to say the expletive, or did you all get the?
I got it.
Go ahead, finish it, because everybody might not get it.
Okay, if you can't tell in the room who's going to get fucked,
You just went right for the jugular, huh?
yeah, so,
That's why I said say it. Janelle, you said the B word. He can say the F word.
Hey,
hey, I was trying to warn everybody.
Right, and you did. You know,
you can say who can get it, but it's okay. I got you.
Yeah.
I was with you, but it's okay.
It's all about awareness. It's awareness of perceptions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the more that you can be aware, then the more you can be in control of your own circumstances. Right.
Right.
However, often we're so busy trying to be what we think people want us to be, that's the first thing that kills your awareness, because all you're doing is trying to fit a mold that you think everybody wants you to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try to purposely, I'm not the best at it, you know, I'm a work in progress, but I try to just stay true to myself. I try to increase my self-awareness, and I try to understand how people are perceiving me in various situations, because that's information that I need to have for me to accomplish whatever goal it is that I'm going for. Does that answer your question?
mm-hmm.
Emotional intelligence.
I like that.
Yep.
Black Space, a safe space for our community.